Well, Griff, North Korea is raising tensions from Asia to Ukraine and beyond, and not just with its unprecedented string of missile tests. The Pentagon says Pyongyang has sold rockets to Russian mercenaries known as the Wagner Group. The British government says the group has some 20,000 mercenaries fighting in Ukraine, and National Security Council spokesman John Kirby says the group is spending more than $100 million per month in Ukraine. Let's bring in Joel Rubin, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State under President Obama. Joel, thanks for coming in today and happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays, Anita.
Thank you. I wonder if I could have you start by explaining to our viewers what the Wagner Group is. They are described as a private paramilitary organization, like a private army of Vladimir Putin. Is that correct?
Yeah, you've got it right. The Wagner Group is a mercenary group. It's a private army that is essentially run by the best friend and chef of Vladimir Putin. Ironically, a chef is the world's leading mercenary, but they have conducted vile operations throughout Syria and Africa at the behest of Russia. And they are now in Ukraine, as you described. And it's this confluence with North Korea, where North Korea is providing weapons to the Wagner Group to fight on behalf of Russia, because Russia right now is desperate. And that's the key thing. The Wagner Group is trying to replace Russian troops. They're emptying the jails. These convicts are now going out as cannon fodder in the war zone. So the Wagner Group is really the worst of the worst, and that's what Vladimir Putin is now relying on.
Yeah, that is awful. They are trying to trade action on the front lines for the freedom of these prisoners, is what I understand. You know, the White House was talking about this. John Kirby had something to say about North Korea selling arms to this group, the Wagner Group. Let's listen to what John Kirby said.
North Korean officials have said publicly that they would not support Russia's war in Ukraine, and yet here they are delivering arms to Wagner in direct violation of UN Security Council resolutions. In fact, for months now, the Russian military has been relying on Wagner to lead combat operations in parts of the Donbass. And in certain instances, Russian military officials are actually subordinate to Wagner's command.
So what, if anything, can be done about this? Can the United States do anything to stop North Korea from selling these weapons to this group?
Well, it's quite telling that North Korea doesn't want to own up to the fact that it is now colluding with Russia to suppress the Ukrainian people and supporting a mercenary army to get there. So, of course, first and foremost, continue to sanction and track and monitor North Korea. They're provoking stress across the region. They have been for years, but threatening more missile tests and advancing their nuclear program. And so we have to continue to work closely with our allies in Japan, South Korea, and elsewhere in Asia to keep them boxed in. But to this Wagner Group dynamic, we need to make sure that we're doing what we are doing, which is the strong bipartisan support that we just saw last week for continued military aid to Ukraine, to continue to support them in this fight. They're clearly wearing out the Russian military. The Russian people don't want to be fighting this war. And now Vladimir Putin is looking to the Russian prisons through a mercenary group to try to defend his indefensible decision to invade Ukraine. So keeping focused, supporting as we have been, while also looking at North Korea and calling them out as is being done. They can't hide. Our intelligence apparatus is too smart, understands what's going on. And it's just not true that North Korea is not involved in this war.
Yeah. Let me ask you about the fact that this group is going to the prisons and getting prisoners to go to the front lines. You touched on it a little bit, but what does that say about the depletion of the Russian army and the state that they're in? Just a quick answer here.
Bottom line is that Russia is going to prisons to send people to the front lines to get blown up by Ukrainian military apparatus. And this means they're at the end of their rope. The Russian people don't want to fight this war. It's Vladimir Putin's war, and he's putting desperate people in harm's way, killing them. And clearly, this is a war that he is losing. And we just have to keep focused on what we've been doing to eventually get him to end this unconscionable invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah, and those prisoners going to the front lines, they've got nothing to lose. So they go there and they do what they're told. All right. Well, Joel Rubin, thank you so much for coming in today. Interesting discussion, and happy holidays.